All right, good evening and welcome to the March 10th, 2025 board meeting. Board members, at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Powell. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Okay, and the motion carries 7 in favor. Okay, the next item on our agenda this evening is our executive session. So at this time, board members, I would ask for a motion to convene into executive session for the purpose of employment matter regarding the superintendent.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie, seconded by Mr. Farnsworth. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call for the vote.
Sorry.
The motion carries 7 in favor. We are in executive session and we will return to open session. Okay. Board members, at this time, I'd ask for a motion to return to open session.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Bates. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Okay, motion carries 7 in favor. We are back in open session. All right, board members, at this time, I would ask for any motions from our executive session.
Madam Chair, I move that we grant Dr. Shane Robbins's request to be released from his contract and accept his resignation from his employment with Dorchester County School District 2 for purposes of retirement, effective March 10th, 2025, and that we authorize the board chair to execute an agreement with Dr. Robbins regarding his resignation, such agreement having been reviewed with the board in executive session.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bates. I have a motion from Ms. Bates. Do I have a second? Okay, second by Mr. Lee. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call for the vote. Okay, the motion carries 7 in favor. And at this time, on behalf of the entire board, I would like to thank Dr. Robbins for his service to the district and wish him and his family the best in his retirement. All right, board members, at this time, do I have any other motions from executive session?
Madam Chair, I do have a motion. Madam Chair, I move that we name Mr. Chad Doherty as interim superintendent of Dorchester School District 2 effective March 10th, 2025. Mr. Doherty will serve at the pleasure of the board with all powers conferred to a South Carolina superintendent by state law, State Board of Education regulation, and district policy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. I have a motion. Do I have a second? All right, thank you so much. Second by Mrs. King. At this time, is there any discussion?
So if I may, and obviously a lot of board conversation there, but I think the takeaway is, and what I want to highlight as a board, our priority is, of course, ensuring a smooth and stable transition to new district leadership. We remain committed, 100%. Every single person up here, every single person in our district remains committed to our educators, to our staff, to our students, to our families, to our communities. Everybody in our schools, our focus is a seamless handoff during this transition, and we want to move forward without disruption. We appreciate the dedication of everybody involved, and we will communicate as openly as humanly possible as we navigate this transition together. Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay. Hearing none, I will call for the vote. Okay, and actually we will need to take a hand vote for this, so all in favor, if you could please. All right, the motion carries 7 in favor. Thank you. Mr. Doherty, would you like to join us up here? And I would just like to say welcome and thank you for your willingness to serve and step up. I know that there is a lot of support for you from this board and in this entire district. And as Mr. Farnsworth said, we are all going to work together to make this as smooth a transition as possible. And we appreciate very much your willingness to help us do that. So.
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. And again, this is a great team that we have, and we'll do everything we can to carry out the mission and vision of DD2. And again, we'll put forth our best effort for our young people and our staff and our parents here in our district. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, so at this time, without any further delay, we will move into our district highlights. Thank you all for your patience.
Dr. Wimberly, Mr. Doherty, good evening, board members. Tonight we have the privilege of recognizing the outstanding achievements of our students and schools, from academic excellence to athletic milestones, leadership in business, and innovation in cybersecurity. These accomplishments showcase the dedication, talent, and hard work that defines Dorchester School District 2. Up first, we celebrate the incredible achievement of the Ashley Ridge High School Air Force JROTC Cyber Team. For the 4th consecutive year, they have secured first place in South Carolina in the All Services category of the Cyber Patriot Cyber Defense Competition, ranking ahead of 35 JROTC cyber teams statewide. After advancing through 2 qualifying rounds, overcoming challenges, including a winter snowstorm, they placed 4th in the nation out of 230 Air Force JROTC teams. This success is a testament to their dedication, countless hours of training, and the support of mentors from the Citadel and the Navy Information Warfare Center. Congratulations to these outstanding cadets on their continued excellence in cybersecurity. In attendance tonight, we have Michaela Benesh. Come on up. Come this way. There we go. They might be in order. Be swell. Yep, stay up there, Michaela. Go to the center. Go to the center. That'll be great. And we'll put Mr. Doherty on the other side. Go get in there. First active duty, student achievement. Love it. Hang out, Michaela. We're going to get a group shot. Go over there. Perfect. Gabriel Draper. Come on up, Gabriel. Henry Durant. Haven Griffin. Haven not with us? Not here? Haven's not here. Courtney Lamberson. Thomas Long. There we go. Oksayana Minop. Pretty close. Pretty close. Nikolai Payton. And Mariah Stapula. Also part of that team not joining us tonight were Eunice Lim, Jacqueline Kwong, Ephraim Schiefers, and Angel and Angie Tra. Okay, team, center up. Fantastic. Colonel Wilkinson, get in there. Please, yeah. One more round of applause for these students and their leaders. Ms. Matthews, you want to get in there? Okay. Next, we recognize the outstanding achievement of Fort Dorchester High School's Future Business Leaders of America FBLA chapter. FBLA, the largest federally recognized career and technical student organization focused on preparing students to become community-minded business leaders in a global society. At this year's state competition, several Fort Dorchester students placed among the best in the state, showcasing their leadership, business acumen, and dedication to excellence. Their success reflects not only their hard work, but also the strong foundation of career preparation fostered by FBLA. We're proud to celebrate these future leaders and their incredible accomplishments. First, we'll start with some of their educators. I know we have Bree Scott in attendance. Bree, come on up, get in these pictures. And Gerald Taylor, co-advisor, is here as well. Oh, Mr. Eldridge, you want to get in on this? You good? All right. Starting out with our chapter vice president, Braden Hritz. In the state conference, he got first place in sales presentation and first place in partnership with business project.
Mr. Bohannon, while they're looking for that, Braden, if I can just say, just a reminder, I run a sales organization in the district. So if you would like to leave your resume, you're more than welcome.
Next, we've got our chapter historian, Anna Yee. Anna's been an integral part of growing the social media presence and chapter membership, and at the state conference, she was third place in social media strategies. Next up, we've got the October Member of the Month, Courtney Sanders. Next up, we've got Gordon Cromer. Gordon's here. Gordon's been heavily involved in the Glowforge enterprise. What? And finally, Kaylee Allen. And wave me down if they walked in. Also, Gabby Dean placed fourth in Intro to Public Speaking. Gabby's not in the room, just checking. And Angel Perez Alvarez, fourth place in Intro to Information Technology. How about a big round of applause for all these students? A little more Fort Dorchester. Next, we recognize an extraordinary achievement in Fort Dorchester High School athletics. Senior Ricky Springs has made history as the first wrestler in school history to win 4 consecutive state wrestling championships. Beginning his journey, oh yeah. Beginning his journey in Fort's youth program, SC Elite, Ricky's dominance on the mat has been unmatched. He has accumulated an outstanding career record of 146 wins with only 6 losses, a school record 99 career pins. In addition to his state titles, he earned national recognition as an NHSCA Junior National All-American. Ricky will continue his wrestling career at Newberry College, and we congratulate him on this remarkable achievement.
While they get, yeah, go.
And finally, we've got some school achievements celebrating 2 of our schools, Windsor Hill Arts Infused Elementary and Fort Dorchester High School, for earning recertification as Arts in the Basic Curriculum Schools. This prestigious designation, awarded by the South Carolina Arts Commission and its partners, highlights their commitment to integrating the arts into daily instruction. These schools, serving more than 3,000 students from pre-K to 12th grade, are 2 of only 65 ABC schools statewide. They will continue to serve as models for arts-rich education, benefiting students and inspiring others. Congratulations to Principal Robert Nooner and Principal Tripp Aldridge, along with their dedicated faculty and staff, for this well-earned recognition. Thank you, Preston. Can't mess me up. This concludes our board highlights for the evening.
All right, our next item on our agenda this evening is our public comments on agenda items. We have one, Mr. Jason Brockert.
Good evening. Tonight I would like to talk about agenda item 6A, the South Carolina School Board Association Annual Conference Report. I looked up the website and read some of the conference highlights, and I see that it said, and I quote, "Keynote and general sessions presentations by motivational speakers as well as state and national experts on a wide variety of issues related to K-12 education." So there wasn't a lot of information there, but it said they should have covered a lot of topics. I would hope that one of the variety of issues that they talked about was teenage suicide following bullying in schools that goes unaddressed. This is a critical issue in the country. There are specific incidences here in this district. So I would hope that the SCSBA annual conference report on various issues would have had a motivational speaker to talk about something like that. I actually have a police report about a student that was accused of threatening violence against the school. It turned out to be a false accusation, and double whammy, they were actually the victim of cyberbullying. And the report states that they didn't come up with anything, but it doesn't discuss why they stopped before they were able to address the bullying. So I would hope that some presentation at the annual School Board Association convention of motivational speakers would have dealt with bullying. And I hope that in the report that we hear today, we get to hear about how this critical issue is being handled. It's sad to know that there are students in the district right now that are victims of bullying. And it turns out that the victims often suffer more consequences than the bullies, but that's anecdotal in my own experience. I would hope that a motivational speaker would be able to convey this in a broad sense rather than my specific sense. In the times that I've been up here to speak, I have respectfully used my 3 minutes every single time. The board refuses to hear me on petty things such as when I come up here to speak. I have had my time taken away and I have not asked for it back. Again, I challenge you to review every single time I've been at this podium and say otherwise. Or speak to me. That would be great. Speak up for Julian.
All right, the next item on our agenda this evening is our board chair's report. And at this time, we will talk about our annual conference. We had several members attend, and I will start us off. I'm going to give each board member who would like an opportunity to kind of give a recap. But just to get started, I would like to say, give a shout out and a congratulations to Ms. Bates, who led a presentation. I did help her in that, but she led a great presentation on our superintendent evaluation rubric that we used last year. The room was packed. It was standing room only, and we got a lot of feedback and a lot of good discussion. And I think there were a lot of good takeaways, not only from her presentation and the information that we shared, but also it was a great opportunity for feedback, talking to other board members from across the state about things that they do, and just a good opportunity to kind of brainstorm and discuss those things. I think that's one of the most valuable takeaways. Yes, we did have a lot of great sessions and a lot of good information, but it's also really nice to network from other board members across the state, to have opportunities to brainstorm and discuss and that sort of thing. So if anyone else would like to speak on that, I know that our new board members were able to complete their new board member orientation, so that was exciting for them.
Happy to give a little update on that. It was a very productive use of time. I was a little bit skeptical because I've been on a school board before and I've been to the orientation sessions. This one actually turned out to be well above my expectations and very, very productive and practical. Particularly a lot of the time spent going over finance basics, which is very pertinent to me, being on the finance committee. Some of the inspirational speakers that they provided were actually quite inspirational and more motivational than I would have anticipated in an event such as that. It was good to get to meet with some other folks from around the state that I've known and worked with, who are now actually on boards themselves. So it's good to see that type of thing happen. Two biggest takeaways were I was blown away at the standing room only crowd for my two colleagues who presented. A lot of interest in the topic of how to do effective evaluations, so you weren't the only ones. The other thing is really sensing how unique DD2 is as a district across the state. There is no other district that's a carbon copy that I could say, okay, I just need to talk to those people. They've got it all figured out. We can really learn a lot from each other and solve these problems. We learned that we share a lot of the same challenges, and while we can collaborate and whatnot, no one's got the silver bullet, the answer to everything. So I appreciate the opportunity to go. I took care of my necessary training, so I'm officially allowed to be here, and thank you to the district for sponsoring us.
I'd like to pick up on what Jim said. It was really beneficial for us to learn, like he said, specifically the financial component of it, some other things that I was just not aware of. And I did kind of go in maybe with a little bit of a sour attitude that I was not excited to have to spend all day in training, but I really promise it did change. I was excited to be there. I was excited to actually learn, not only just with the words, but the handouts that they were given that we can constantly refer back to. These ladies did a fantastic job presenting, and not just saying that, multiple people from across the state came up to us to let us know how great they did. They need to hear that. And then there was just some really motivating speakers. They encouraged us to go out and do our best for our community, which is our goal anyway, but just continue to do that and to be open to hearing the voice of the community and the concerns of the community, and the end goal always being the children at the pinnacle.
If I could just continue one thing, one other takeaway, which I found interesting, the first I'd heard of it, but apparently it's been around for a while, is this organization that's promoting the notion of the Dignity Index. And in a time of very often acrimonious dialogue within any community, presenting some ideas about how to try and move towards treating each other mutually with respect, even though we may not necessarily agree on everything. It's a takeaway from a lot of what I think I learned in kindergarten, how to get along well with others, but also to be able to think about not only the language you use, but your attitude and how you engage in disagreements with others. And make no mistake, we're going to have disagreements. We've got a lot of hard decisions to make in the coming years here in this district. And if you get a chance, look up the Dignity Index. I thought it was a very valuable takeaway from the conference.
Well, Jim, you stole my thunder. No, that's funny. Actually, that was like really one of my favorite. There was a general session on it, which had our keynote speaker, and then we had like a breakout session on it. And in the general session, they really went about going through the Dignity Index, and it basically is, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and how to have discourse in a respectful way that shows dignity rather than contempt. Contempt is where you approach something from a place of blame and pointing fingers, versus in having dignity is we're all humans, and really understanding everybody has a right to believe what they believe. And so it was really, really neat. I talked with our superintendent at the time about incorporating it into some of our anti-bullying classes, because I think that it would help with really helping people communicate in a more productive way. The first keynote speaker, he was fun. He talked about walking into a scenario and how everybody would ask, like, how are you? And really that's just such a strange question, because everybody, it opens the door of, I'm kind of bad, or this day stunk, and approaching it more of tell me something good, and that really sets the tone if you walk into a meeting. And it was funny because I was like, where did I hear that before? And I think it's from our, what is that called? The Capturing Kids' Hearts. Thank you. And I was like, I know I've heard that before. So I thought it was really fun to hear that. And then lastly, there was a breakout session from a school district. Remind me what the school district was, because I don't want to get it wrong. No, it wasn't Newberry, wasn't it? With the Greenwood 50 or something, where their superintendent took schools that were at like a 95% poverty rate, that had very low test scores in reading and math, and just some of the things that he did to basically change the performance in these schools and take kids that are normally underserved, that people would say have all the odds stacked against them, and not letting that stop them from succeeding. And it was just really neat to hear his story, to hear how he did that and what he implemented, and just his passion for students, and just to watch how he took that at a pilot school and then did it all throughout his elementary schools, and is now transitioning into the middle schools. So there was a lot of, I had notes that I brought in last meeting that I didn't bring this meeting, but there was a lot of like really, really good information. And I think we'll probably plan a visit of some sort to go meet up with them and kind of hear from them directly, because it was just such good information. But those are some highlights.
I guess my one, there were so many different sessions that I went to that was inspiring to me and made me want to go visit those particular schools to get more information and bring back to DD2. But one in particular I heard last year, and then he did a follow-up this year with his results. And that first year, he talked about the number of fights that would occur in his school. And he made up his mind that could not continue, and make sure, in order to make sure that all of the students attending felt safe, and they also were able to learn. This year, he came back and he brought some hard statistic facts that showed what a major decline that he was now having in his school. He gave us information in which we could get in contact with him so that we can glean whatever we can from what he's doing so that we can basically try to implement some of those here. Now, I don't hear of a lot of fights, but one fight on a campus is enough for me. And so we want to make sure that our children, when they come to school, they feel safe. But at the same time, they also held parents responsible for their children's behavior. So it takes all of us working together as parents, as educators, as community members to make sure that we live in a community where everyone feels safe. Hearing of a young man that basically lost his life recently at 17, that's still a child. And it was done by other young people. So we are not at a place here in our district where we can say, oh, everything is going well here. It's not. If one child dies, if one child is basically put in the hospital, if one child feels unsafe, that's enough for us to act and see what more we can do. And so my plan is to basically go and visit this particular school and see what they're doing and see how we can implement it here. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I promise I will be brief. As I always start, I want to say thank you to the community, to the district, for allowing me the opportunity to go to these types of conferences. This one especially, a lot of value, and of course I've been going to conferences for a while now, and so I try to pick out kind of nuggets of wisdom that I can bring back to the district. and there were more than a couple, but a couple I will highlight tonight. Mr. Lee and I had the opportunity to go to a breakout session on workforce development, which I thought was fantastic. I was texting some folks in the district during that session and asking some good questions. And so a lot of, from a state level, I will tell you there's a lot of good things happening in the state of South Carolina when it comes to workforce development that will continue to benefit our district and our students. So that was great to see. And then the other one that was very interesting to me was talking about artificial intelligence, so AI. And I know we're actually going to talk about some AI stuff a little bit later in this meeting. But hearing from other districts in South Carolina that have already kind of moved the ball forward when it comes to AI. And I think it gives us an opportunity to look at that direction as a district and how we want to approach AI, because it's here, it's not going anywhere. It will continuously promulgate our students, our lives just in general. So I think we need to get ahead of that. And I've got some ideas that I am hopeful to bring to the board over the next several months. So, but again, really a great conference. I appreciate the opportunity, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Additionally, I went to the session where they discuss how they basically come up with the budget that they're going to release to the various school districts so that they can finance whatever their programs are. And I would encourage parents, community members, and even those that are in the classroom to go on the website to see how money is determined when we find out about how much money we're getting. And it doesn't give us a lot of time to make decisions. So I know sometimes people become frustrated, but go and see what our elected officials do and how they do it, and maybe you may have a conversation with them to help us out so that we can come up with a timely budget in order to see what we have to work with. Thank you.
All right, thank you, board members. I will say thank you to all of you for your time in attending, because I know it does take away from personal time, but I do appreciate the fact that everyone was very clearly excited about this conference, and we had some good information and good discussion, and I think it is very important for us to have that time to work together. So thank you all for attending. All right, now we will move into our board committee reports. First this evening, we have our policy committee, Ms. Bates.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. We have several policies for first reading today. I will start with policy EA, support services, goals/priorities and objectives. Policy EC, buildings, grounds, property management. Policy ECB, buildings and grounds maintenance. Policy EDE, waste management and recycling. Policy AR-JRA, student records. Policy GBAA, sexual harassment and retaliation. Policy JIAAE1, sexual harassment and retaliation students. And policy IKE, promotion, retention, and acceleration of students. Most of these just needed updates to be in alignment with law and or hadn't been visited in quite some time, so we were just updating them so that they were current with the current times. So that's it, and I will turn them over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Bates. So since this is coming out of committee, I do not need a second. So we have these policies we are presenting for first reading. At this time, do we have any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Yes, okay. All in favor accepting these policies for first reading, and the motion carries 7 in favor. All right, next on the agenda, we have our Finance Committee. Mr. Guthrie, do you have anything for us this evening?
Report.
Nothing to report. All right, thank you very much. And next we have our facilities. Mr. Farnsworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Facilities Committee met earlier this afternoon. Again, a lot of information facilities is rolling. It's that time of year, especially with referendum projects, undertaking a lot of stuff going on in the district. So I would just encourage anybody who is interested in what we've got going on in facilities to tune into those facilities meetings. And then I would also just reiterate, we've got our facilities walkthroughs that are still going on. They should be on everybody's calendar. Our next ones are Wednesday morning. Yep, Wednesday morning, I'm looking out. So anybody who would like to join us Wednesday morning, just look at your calendar and be prepared to have some fun on facilities walkthroughs. So that's all for me. Ms. Powell, anything on your side? No, we're good. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes our board committee reports. And next item on our agenda is our superintendent's report. So I'll hand it over, put you in the hot seat, Mr. Doherty.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the rest of the board. This evening we'd like your permission this evening to recommend the adoption of our new textbook recommendations, and just a little bit to tell you a little bit about the process. The South Carolina Department of Education public review period was from November 18th through January 3rd, 2025. And as a district, our step 1 was instructional materials will be shared with schools. Step 2 was grade level content teams will evaluate the quality of the math instructional materials using the district look-fors, the document as a guide. Our step 3 was each school will submit the name of the publisher they select based on teacher feedback. And then step 4, a district selection will be sent to the Dorchester District 2 School Board for approval. So that's kind of our process. And it also follows our policy IJJ for textbook selection and adoption. And so I have Ms. Katie Barker, our Chief Academic Officer, to answer any questions and kind of go over our recommendations. So, Ms. Barker.
Thank you so much for having me. And just, if I may, before we get into textbooks, since Ms. Bates set it up so well, I would like to start with Tell Me Something Good. Last week, Mr. Matt Moschel and I were invited to attend, if you want to go to the next slide, Wanda, that's what they'll want to see, the HMH District Leadership Summit in Nashville. And it was phenomenal. But the biggest celebration is, before we even checked in, one of the senior vice presidents came over and introduced himself to Mr. Moschel and I, and started with information about how they use Dorchester District 2 as the model nationwide for implementation of Read 180, because our data is the strongest that they have seen, and that starts really with strong implementation, which I would just like to celebrate all of our Read 180 teachers and Matt Moschel. That really is their... Thank you. It was such... It just reminds us sometimes that, you know, when we're in it every day, you forget sometimes just how blessed you are. But then we're doing so well that Matt Moschel was invited to speak on the national panel for HMH. So you can see some pictures there of him doing that. And I was like a proud mom out in the audience. I was like videoing, and so super proud of him and his leadership, not just in Dorchester 2, but within the entire HMH family. But then, of course, it was like the paparazzi. Like, as he was talking about all of the success in Dorchester 2, people from across the nation started flocking to him and wanting to ask questions. So I had to say, he will answer questions, but he is not moving anywhere, so don't get any ideas. And then on the second day, the slide on the far, not the pictures of Mr. Moschel, I don't know what side I'm looking from the right, if it's your right or your left, but on the second day of the conference, they were just celebrating some districts across the nation that had shown tremendous success. And without us even knowing, in the entire room full of schools and districts across the country and across the world, there were from other countries there. Dorchester 2 was recognized, and it's hard to read up there, so I'm just going to read to you the data that is up there that they highlighted. And this is all of our Read 180 subgroup of students, the students that participate in Read 180, 3rd grade all the way through 12th grade, that within that group, over half of the students that are in an intensive intervention grew double the expected annual growth. And then within that group, 30% of those students actually grew 3 times the typical growth that we would expect to see from fall to winter. And then an additional 10% of those students that are in the foundational program, the students that need the most amount of reading support, were able to completely exit that lowest level of support needed after just 1 semester because of their success with the program. So this was not on the agenda to share, but it was just too good to wait until the next board meeting, and I just wanted to make sure that Mr. Moschel and certainly our Read 180 teachers were able to get that shout out, and I wanted you to have that success as well. So thank you for just giving me a moment to celebrate something good that was going on in Dorchester 2. So as Mr. Doherty shared, this is the process that he just reviewed with you. This is the same process that we brought to the December meeting. So this should look familiar to you, and I just want to, it looks super easy in a 4-step process on one slide. But I just, before we get into the recommendations, want to give a huge thank you to our team, but also to the math teachers across the district. It is time intensive to really dig into multiple math programs at one time, and dedicate the energy to really looking at those in detail so that then we could turn around and make recommendations to you. So I would be remiss if I just did not take the opportunity to say thank you, team, thank you, teachers, thank you, PD coaches, administrators are a part of this. It looks super easy on a slide, but it is much more involved than 4 simple steps. So now I will share with you, after that process, what our recommendations are that at the end can answer any questions about them. And then if you are ready, we would like a vote to support these recommendations. So at the elementary level, we do one textbook for all K through 5 students. And the recommendation from our elementary schools is the publisher is Great Minds, and it's Eureka Math. For middle school, all middle school levels, core for 6 through 8, GATE 6 through 8, and geometry with statistics, all voted to support Savvis Envision Math. So that would all the same program all through middle schools. And then this again should look familiar. This is the high school core sequencing guide, and I just put this in here as a reminder because you're going to get ready to see a very extensive list of all of the high school books. And I did just want to say that this year was a little bit unique from the state in that there were some courses that only had one textbook option. So limited, we certainly reviewed those. Our teachers were able to really look at those, but for several of these courses, there was only one recommendation from the State Department. So geometry with statistics, CP, and honors, both elected for Savvis Envision, which aligns with that same high school course at the middle school level. They opted for the same textbook. Algebra 1 CP, Savvis Envision as well. Honors for Algebra 1 would be Accelerate Math Nation. Algebra 2 with probability, both CP and honors, is Savvis Envision. Discrete math would be Savvis Blitzer Discrete. Applications and modeling course would be BW Walsh Math Standards Application and Modeling. And again, some of these are new courses based on the core sequencing. Reasoning and Mathematics, CP, would be the Savvis Thinking Mathematically textbook. Statistical Modeling is the Savvis Box Stats Modeling the World. Pre-Calculus, both for CP and honors, is the McGraw-Hill Pre-Calculus book. Calculus Honors is the Cengage Calculus. AP Calculus AB and BC, elected for the Cengage Calculus for AP, a complete course textbook. And then AP Statistics is the Practice of Statistics for the AP course. So those are all of our recommendations for the math textbook adoption that we are currently under. And I am happy to answer any questions. As long as you're not going to ask me to actually do calculus or anything like that. I'll defer to Kelly could probably come up and do that.
Okay, board members, at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve these math textbooks as presented by
Madam
Ms.
Chair,
Yes.
I did have one question before
Absolutely,
we move
please.
to the vote. So thank you for telling me something good. That was exciting to hear. So particularly with the elementary and the middle school, was it close? Did these textbooks really stand out a cut above the rest? And can you comment on what about them really resonated with you?
Sure. So I also will tell you that we did give all teachers, all schools kind of a look for document, some things that we really, with the new standards, we really wanted them to be sure that the textbook could support a lot of what those new standards were really looking at. It was very close, especially in elementary. There were 3 textbooks that were voted for up for adoption in elementary, and it was so close that after we got the first vote, we took out the lowest one and sent it back out for another vote, just to make sure. We did ask them for their second choice, but we still felt like we really wanted to narrow it down. And even with that second vote at the elementary level, it was 7 and 8, and we have 15 elementary schools. So and there were a couple of the geometry with statistics middle school course was 3 for another textbook, and then 4. But the elementary one was really the most close.
Ms. Bates and I were just talking, Eureka Math. We've used this in the district previously, correct? And that was geared towards the gifted and talented program.
It has been used
elementary?
in our gifted and talented program before. Yes.
And I would say not a question, but some more commentary. Tagging on to the thank you, because I think this is another thing that sets DD2 apart from a lot of districts in the state. It would be fairly easy for on high, on the mountain, to just dictate what your curriculum, what your books, what all that will be down into the classroom level. But as a district, we take it upon ourselves to make sure we get the input from our educators and a lot of input. I know that takes a lot of time and effort, and so I just want to say thank you for that. And again, it just shows that we're listening to our educators, not just telling. So thank you.
I will say I attended a virtual session from the State Department at the very beginning of textbook adoption season about best practices, and it was all about, you know, getting buy-in and what makes an adoption standards change, all of that successful. And it was affirming to hear everything that they recommended is already a part of our practice here. There are certainly districts where the curriculum and instruction team or, you know, someone just adopts something. So I do feel like we have a really good process to get that feedback from schools.
I just wanted to say, and anytime I hear about Read 180, I get excited. I was the first to teach Read 180 in the district over at DuBose. And the thing I love about the program is the fact that it is up to the students as to whether or not they take advantage of all that is available to them. They have such a wide variety of books that they can read on their own, small groups, whatever they want to do. They have that small one-on-one time with the teacher. And, you know, if they decide that they want to work the program and do what they need to do, they can test out. And I was so excited when they moved on to the high school. And so I visited a class my first year on the board, and, you know, she had a number of students that were working in order to test out of Read 180. So great teachers, great students that understand the value of what's being given to them. And that's in any class that a child basically goes into. They have to be willing to put the work in. And when they put that work in, and the teacher's working with them, then they're going to be successful. And we do encourage parents to continue to encourage your children to read a variety of books, because that's how they speak well, that's how they're able to write well, and they learn a variety of vocabulary that they can use later in life. So Read 180, yes. Thank you.
We love it too.
All right, any other questions, comments? Okay, so at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the math textbooks as presented by Ms. Parker and the entire district.
So moved.
All right, motion made by Ms. Bates. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Farnsworth. Any further questions or discussion at this time? Okay, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Okay, and the motion carries 7 in favor.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to call up Ms. Meunier for our finance report. She's going to talk about our minority spend report for fiscal year July through December 24th.
Mr. Doherty, Fine Arts update. Fine Arts update.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's right. I know
Mr.
you're
Walsh.
excited about the math
Yes.
textbooks.
Mr. Walsh, we forgot. Best for last here. Mr. Walsh, thank you.
Good evening. I was already back to my seat. I was so excited. I also get to share nothing but good stuff, and I'll just give you a brief update about Fine Arts. We just concluded. We had a little rough, one of the rougher Rawlings audition seasons, thanks to Mother Nature this year. We had to move 2 weekends, and so we just finished that up. We had 690 kids registered to audition, 576 kids actually auditioned. That's a little misleading because every kid gets to choose areas. 2 areas, so that roughly amounts to about 1,100 auditions over the last 4 or 5 weeks. And that doesn't count for makeups and those things. We had some makeups, especially to our great Somerville Elementary robotics teams who did so well. We had some extra makeups as far as that goes. And so all those letters have been mailed, and all that is happening right now. Our GT artistic programs, we're super proud of those. We've changed that a little bit in the last couple years. Gateway is a program, stands for Gifted and Talented Education with Artistic Youth. And that program is almost as old as me. It's been around for 30 years. And so I'm going to stick with that. That's almost as old as me. And so that we meet 5 Saturdays in the summer and for 2 weeks in the summer, 5 weeks during the year, and they're called Super Saturdays. And we've really pushed that to move down to our 3rd through 5th graders. And it's a model that's being changed all over the state. Berkeley has recently adopted our model instead of what they typically do. The state is bringing their Nature and Needs of the Gifted Learner program again. Last year, they brought their CLIA program here to spend a week with us to watch what we do for Gateway. They're coming back this summer and hopefully bringing more people. And so we just had one of those on March 1st. And then last year, we split it for 2 reasons. First, we wanted to increase the depth of instruction for our middle school students. And secondly, so we could have more students. What we were finding is that we were working very hard for retention in our students, and we were retaining students so well, we weren't able to accept any. So we were having huge numbers of 4th graders, 5th graders, 6th graders, and we were able to accept 30 3rd graders just because we only have so many classrooms. And so we split it apart for those 2 reasons. And this is our 2nd full year of Pathway. We had our first session on March 1st, and 215 students participated. So that's up about 50 students. So we're serving almost 600 students, engaged 3 through 8 through gifted and talented artistic education. I would invite you to come out to any Saturday and see it. It's really neat. Because the teachers are excited to be there because they're doing their art the whole day. We also try to partner. We purposefully make it a professional development thing for us. So we try to include younger teachers with older teachers so that they can lesson plan together and they can spend the whole day together. And they're spending 15 days with a master teacher. And so it's a little bit of a retention thing for us, a little bit of a professional development thing for us. The next thing we've been working on for the past 3 years, you've probably heard from other counties that have all-county band, all-county orchestra, all-county this, all-county that. We had not had one of those. The district had district honor choir for several years, and then that got canceled because of COVID. We brought that back, and then last year we brought the honor orchestra. This year we'll have an all-county band. We have an honors dance weekend. So essentially, right this year, once we have our honor band, we will have every core area will have an honors ensemble, which gives those students who maybe not make all state or all region an honors group to participate with something that might be of somewhat a higher quality than they get on a day-to-day basis because they're with all the, and it gives people time to network and to work with other kids, and it's a great time. And so All-State this year, the All-State numbers, choir had 26, which is up several from last year. Band had 44 students make All-State, and that weekend happens this weekend. They leave on Thursday, and they'll be back on Sunday. And the next thing is an ambitious program. We're going to try and see how it works. We were contacted by the Atlanta Opera Company. They received a grant from the National Endowment of the Arts to create operas based for elementary students. And so they've taken Mozart's The Magic Flute and brought it down to a 3rd grade level. And so we've sent out a study guide to all our teachers that they're going to meet on Wednesday to go over. But on April 7th, we'll have every 3rd grader in the district in the PAC Center between 10:30 and noon. And we're going to make it happen. I don't know how we're going to do it. It's 1,897 students in 2 hours. So we have 2 showings, and we're going to figure it out, and it's going to be great. We did something similar in December for all our 5th graders. That was over 2 days. So this will be a little more hectic and a lot more fun, and I'm excited to see them. It's so much fun to watch kids get those experiences. Then we have another new experience that we are piloting with, I think, 12 programs in the country, and we were approached by the Carnegie Hall Music Explorers program. And what that is, it is a program they've had in New York for quite a while, but they've again got a National Endowment Arts grant, and they're trying to push that out. And what that is they hire performers from different places in the world, and they create these video lessons and study guides for specific music genres from all over the world, and those students get to then be online and learn from those specific things. Like the last one they had was the Plena, which is from Cuba, and they have two people who show them the dances, they show them the things, and then they get to learn a basic how to play those kind of things and to learn about music from Africa and Cuba and all over. And so we're excited about that. It's also the goal for that is to provide development for the teachers so that they can then pursue those subjects on their own. So there's also professional development sessions related to that. And then here's the big one. This month, March, if you don't know, is Music in Our Schools Month nationally and Youth Art Month. They both have proclamations from our state government and national government that they are celebrated nationally for Youth Art Month and Music in Our Schools Month. So we are hopefully going to have lots of celebrations all across the district, but our biggest celebration is something we created about 3 years ago. It's the third Thursday through the Dream Association downtown. We affectionately call it Dream Fest. And so I didn't name it. And it's from the teachers. And that is on March 20th. And we take over downtown. We have about 11 groups performing. I just added another one today. We have 11 groups performing on the Hutchison Square stage. We have all our steel drums performing on West Richardson, there in front of what is Montrose. And then we just added an elementary steel drums group. We're going to try and fit there into in the grass in the courtyard area there. And that happens from 5:30 to 8:30. Also, we'll have artwork all over downtown. That is going to be put in on March 17th. And we're going to, since the next week is spring break, they're allowing us to leave it up for 2 full weeks. So you don't have to try and rush down there in 2 days and see it. The parents can come all the next week, and we're going to take it up on April 1st. And so this year, we're estimated, last year, we had 27 teachers and 400 artworks, and right now we're getting close to 500 artworks to put downtown, which is fun. And everywhere you go, from Town Hall to Coastal Coffee Roasters, they will have artwork everywhere you want to look. And so another big portion of that is we will have our ribbons for you. I have them back there to give to you. Everybody gets 2 ribbons to place on 2 artworks that are their favorites. So that is, again, is March 20th, and it's 5:30 to 8:30. And I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. We appreciate all you do and all the Saturdays that you give up and how you really are promoting our fine arts. And I know a lot of us have been there on your Dream Fest, and that's quite an event and a lot of undertaking by all the staff and yourself to get that all planned out. So thank you.
Thank you.
And now we'll move on to the finance report. So we'll have Ms. Meunier come up and talk about, at this point, our minority spend report from July to December 24. Ms. Meunier.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, Mr. Doherty. This evening, the procurement team has prepared for you the minority enterprise report. So we are required to provide you with the information for the vendors who have designated themselves when they provide us with their vendor information as minority business with those qualifications. Under the district procurement code, that we follow the state's procurement code. As Mr. Doherty said, this is the July 1 through December 31, 2024 spend with those vendors. The 6-month total is $1.9 million. Just as a point of reference, last year at this time, between July 1 of 23 through December 31 of 23, we were $2.5 million. Our annual goal, what we hope to spend, is up to $5 million. Last year we made it up to $4 million. I think with these new projects that are coming online, we have an opportunity to work with additional minority vendors. Again, they have to designate themselves to us that they are minority vendors. We hope to spend some more business with them. So we will need board approval of this minority spend report.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Meunier. Board members, at this time, I would ask for a motion to accept the minority business report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Lee, seconded by Mr. Guthrie. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Okay, motion carries 7 in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll move on to our operations report. We'd like to ask Jeff Smith and Tony Souls to come up on our facilities update and also the referenda update. So, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Daugherty. I just gave a report a couple weeks ago, so I'll condense this one a little bit, hit the highlights. At Sand Hill Elementary wing, we hope to get the building pad started this week, and the substantial completion date is currently scheduled for September 15th of this year. Out at Oakbrook Middle School, the building pad is completed for that project, and they're prepping for the foundation installation. The scheduled completion date for that one is 12/11 of this year. And at the Oakbrook Elementary School addition, we're coordinating some pre-work, site work with them to be able to go ahead and start that building pad very probably in the next month or so. There's some coordination to be done there. And that scheduled completion date for that addition is the 13th of February, 2026. That's all I have for the referendum report. Is there any questions for me? I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Good evening. So quick update on the other projects that we have going on. Most of these are 8% projects. Like I mentioned in the last meeting, we're still waiting on the bids to be turned back in for the Somerville High School softball field press box, and as well as we're waiting on the designs of the tennis courts at Somerville High School. The Newington and Flowertown HVAC replacements, the bulk of that work is going to be done spring break, and the rest will be finished up over the summer. Basically waiting on the fresh air units to come in, and that'll be the summertime portion of the work. Somerville High School gym, locker rooms, HVAC replacement. We're going to be doing the leg work of the all the ductwork replacement, which is on the roof. That's going to happen this summer, the spring break, and then the unit will actually be in probably first part of May, so we'll be able to get that done as soon as school gets out. The Oakbrook Middle School HVAC replacement, we're told we're going to have the quotes this week, and then that work will be scheduled for summer. A little more in depth on that installation. It's not just rooftop units, it's a lot of package units, so it'll be actually split system, so it'll be a lot more internal work in the schools. Just an update, like I said, we already mentioned, but the facilities walkthroughs are going well. We're already starting to work on some of the smaller things that we've found, and that's all I really have tonight.
Thank you. One question, are you seeing any problems with any of the materials that we may be having issues, like tariffs, those types of things, any things that we may have issues with any of the projects?
The bigger projects, Tony's seeing more issues on, but I think right now, no. Nothing that looks like it's going to project or like postponing schedules.
So I did have some conversations with some contractors last week and early this morning as well. The steel market is a little, it's very fluctuating. It's very volatile right now. So we're looking at other methods of construction that are acceptable, other than steel frame and construction. So we're exploring all options to be able to bring it in on budget and on time.
Thank you. Is there any other questions the board may have for either of these gentlemen? Okay, thank you. At this time, we're doing our personnel report, And I do have Mr. Scott Matthews. He would like to make a couple comments, just a little bit about personnel that's going on in our personnel department. This time of year becomes very busy, and so I know Scott wanted to say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Daugherty. Thank you for a few minutes. I just wanted to inform you that when we're doing our recommendations and resignation presentation each month, we haven't started including our 2025-26 recommendations yet. So I did want to let you know our team, along with our schools and principals, administrators, have been working very hard recruiting new talent to DD2, which we will soon. As we know, April and May are the contract months, and so expect to see a lot more recommendations in the coming months. Sometimes when you look at the resignations, we are including 24-25 resignations for the end of this year, but we haven't started, and the recommendations are for current jobs we have right now. We haven't started listing the 25-26 jobs, but those are coming very soon. Just wanted you to be aware that to be on the lookout for those exciting new recommendations coming your way in the coming months.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Are there any questions the board may have for Mr. Matthews? If not, we're asking for board approval on the recommendations presented to the board.
Okay, board members, we did receive that information in our packet. Is everyone okay with proceeding in open session with the personnel report? Okay, at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the personnel recommendations as presented in our packets. Okay, motion made by Ms. Bates.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Lee. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Okay, motion carries 7 in favor.
The last item we have on the superintendent's report is 8E, student enrollment recommendations for 24-25. You'll find in your packet approval for the student enrollment recommendation as presented.
Okay, board members, are you okay with proceeding in open session, the enrollment recommendations presented in this portion of these recommendations? Yes. Okay, motion made by Mr. Farnsworth. Do I have a second? Okay, seconded by Ms. Bates. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Okay, motion carries 7 in favor. All right, and that concludes the superintendent's report. Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Next item on our agenda is our public comments. We do not have any this evening. We will move to the next item, which is our executive session. At this time, I would ask for a motion to convene into executive session for a student enrollment recommendation. Motion made by Mr. Farnsworth. Seconded by Ms. Powell. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, we will call for the vote. Motion carries 7 in favor. We are in executive session and we will return to open session. Return to open session. Motion made by Ms. Powell. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Bates. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Okay, motion carries 7 in favor. We are back in open session. Board members, at this time, I would ask for any motions, any action coming out of executive session.
Madam Chairman, I motion that we uphold the decision made by the district in this matter.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lee. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Bates. Any question or discussion? All right, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Motion carries 7 in favor. All right, board members, at this time, I would like to bring to your attention that there was an additional public comment in the bottom of our box that we did not see. So I would like to ask if everyone would be okay with me allowing that public comment at this time. Okay, I would ask Solomon Malott, did I say that name correctly? Okay, to please step forward. And I apologize that we missed your card, and so I appreciate your patience and you staying to the end and waiting for us. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Solomon Malott. I am a lead editor for Wave TV, Somerville High School's weekly news show, where we cover a wide range of subjects, including school-centric stories, as well as local and national news. Recently, 2 of my peers and I reviewed both our school and district handbooks to find the policy on student-led media, like our publication, and found nothing. There's not currently any policy relating to student media and what exactly is subject to administrative control. Control and censorship that our program has faced many times. We are entirely student-led and student-created and should be treated as such. 5 months ago, there was a fatal hunting accident on the Sawmill Branch Trail. 2 students from Wave TV took on the story, and their coverage contained exclusively the basic facts of the situation. No identifying information and lasting no more than 10 seconds, and primarily focused on proper hunting procedures and safety. After we aired the show for that week, our advisor was called into a meeting with an administrator and was instructed that we were not to cover verbatim violence, crime, or anything negative, topics that make up about 95% of the news. This is unconstitutional and violates our rights under Hazelwood v. Colmer. It is prudent that our district implements a policy officially detailing and classifying Wave TV, as well as any other present or future student journalistic publication within the district, as a limited public forum. Our integrity and our rights as students, journalists, and American citizens are being hampered and harmed due to the lack of a policy, due to the lack of clarification. It's crucial to our education in journalism that we can cover topics that affect our student body. And this does not just apply to us. In the past few years, Rawlings Middle School has become their own student-run show, The Nightly News. At Fort Dorchester, they have a budding sports media program. Creating a policy to classify these programs to provide protections for students' constitutional rights to freedom of speech is of the utmost importance. We are not asking for free rein to use school likenesses to spread opinions or fear or hatred. We are asking for a policy focused on preserving and cultivating the minds of both the students creating and those who are watching. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Malott. All right, board members, at this time, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Ms. Powell, seconded by Mr. Lee. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we will call for the vote. And the motion carries 6 in favor, 1 against. We are adjourned.